Hello everyone, my name is Titan and I am the product manager from Qnap Smart Networking. And today we'll take some time to talk about our new QCP solution, 3000 series. Start from this year, we have the launch of 7000 series in earlier of this year. And we are going to launch a small one for our IT infrastructure. And before we are really go into the our product and our new feature, I would like to take some time to talk about the IT infrastructure that we have today and what kind of the challenge and what kind of the issue that we are facing for today. And I think for the first of beginning, when everything started, when we're trying to build up our business, when we're trying to build our IT infrastructure, it always starts from very simple router and the switch. And of course, the first beginning is just a simple couple of free devices and connect to each other. At the time, it should be very easy to management and very easy to operating. But after your daily operation, day by day, there is issue coming after. It might be some security issue from the intranet, or maybe some performance issue from your internet. So you're getting started to add more and more devices into your IT infrastructure to fix all different kind of the situation and issue. So the results comes after will be something like what we're showing on the picture. I believe that for a lot of the IT guys, you are pretty familiar with the situation here. We have the dedicated devices. We have the dedicated solution for individual issues. It might be a firewall, it might be IDP IDS, it might be a router, it might be a VPN gateway to fulfill all different kind of the requirement and to fix all different kind of the issue in the past. So it's getting started messed up. It's getting started not easy to change, not easy to deploy. So what kind of issue it is exactly? Because the after more and more devices, more and more cable on your server room, so your daily operation is getting complex. And of course, with the more and more bugs in your server room, in your IT infrastructure, you are facing more and more interoperability issue in your network. And of course, with the more bugs inside of your network, inside of your IT infrastructure, there's more chance to somehow some device will be failure or some service will be failure. And most of the important things, it will be energy wasting and also wasting for your resource. For a very typical scenario, there is always a bottleneck in your network. For example, if you have 200 megabit traffic in your networking, you probably will find there only 20% the CPU usage on your router, but there might be 80% or 90% or even 100% of the CPU utilization or performance utilization of your firewall or your IDP IDS or your VPN gateway. So there's always a bottleneck in your IT infrastructure. Then you have always to keep upgrade your network devices. You have to always update your IT infrastructure. From router, from IDP, it seems endless looping to keeping change everything, to keeping upgrade everything. But the problem is, since everything is physical, everything is appliance in your network, it's actually not easy to upgrade in your network because the you have to think about how to connect your cable and how to physically replace your devices. And of course, if there is more and more complex design in your infrastructure, there is more and more things that you have to think about, you have to planning for before you really hands-on to replace this or to upgrade your service as well. And of course, comes after, there will be pretty long service downtime when you're trying to do the upgrade or when you're trying to do the physical change. And also we have to think about that when our business is keeping growing up, we have to try to establish our branch office, maybe to the other region or maybe to the other country. You have to set up the branch office in the individual location. But it's actually a nightmare. It's actually a big challenge for the IT infrastructure. So think about that. I think this is the issue for the most of the IT guys when you're trying to set up the IT infrastructure in your branch office. You always have to think about what kind of devices I have to put into this branch office. And that's a very typical scenario. For example, in the past, if you have the security issue, you have the intrusion issue in your headquarters, so that you bought the IDP or IDS to protect your service, to protect your networking in your IT infrastructure. But when you're trying to set up the branch office, is it possibly that you can spend 1,000 or even 10,000 to buy a new IDP IDS for a branch which have only maybe 10 or 20 employees in individual location? I think the answer should be very clear for most of the manager, because we don't have the budget for this kind of deployment. But the problem is the issue will always that it doesn't matter you are in the big office or you are in a small office. The risk is always over there. So most of the time, when we're trying to deploy this kind of a solution in the branch office, we have to sacrifice. We have to downgrade our service. We have the compromise between the cost and the service. But it actually comes after is the additional security, the potential security issue, or additional resource for your daily operation that you are wasting on for this kind of deployment. And also, most of the important thing is when we're trying to deploy the new IT infrastructure in the branch office, I think there is one key challenge for all of the managers is we have to think about, are we going to hire or are we going to deploy the IT manager in each of the location? But we have only 10 or 20 employee on each of the location. Does it make sense to hire one IT manager in individual location, or we just running like nothing will be happening? I think for most of the company they were choosing, they will try to management, they will try to deployment, they will try to troubleshooting from a remote side to the local side. But the problem is, I think for your daily operation, it will be very, very difficult for the employee who have no engineering or IT background to tell you what's the problem exactly, or to help you to find out where is the root cost. Like if they have the internet access issue, they cannot access to the web GUI, they will just phone you or send you a message or tell you, I have the problem right now. That's it, nothing more. Then you have to try to dig in. What's the problem? It could be, might be the problem from the ISP, might be the problem from the router, or might be the problem from the computer, or might be the problem from the firewall. You have to try to dig in one by one, one by one, one by one, one by one, without any support, without any help or information, reliable information from the local side. So it actually increase your operation cost very much in this kind of the situation. And also, when we're trying to deploy the new service and the new solution, no matter is you are going to fulfill your business requirement or you're trying to resolve some kind of the business issue, the security issue. In the past, what we have to do is you have to buy new devices like a new firewall or a new IDP or new router to fix your issues. But it will take time to ship the devices to the individual location, and you have also think about how to configure it, because before the device is able to connect to internet, you basically can do nothing to set it up, to management it. So it actually takes a lot of time to make all the system up and running. And in some critical case, you may also need to send an engineer to the individual site one by one, one by one, one by one. So for one service up and running, it may take 3 months, 6 months, or even a year to make it happen. But the problem is if you are facing the if you are trying to fulfill the business opportunity for this kind of new solution, to fulfill the business opportunity, there is no reason to customer or to your business to waiting for 6 months or to an year just because you have to waiting everything deployed on. Or if there is any security solution, I don't think it's the hacker will waiting for you. Okay, you need to take 3 months, 6 months, or an year to deploy your security solution. So during the time, your employee and your organization will keeping suffering those kind of the performance issue, the security issue, or not really good the operation way. So it also again to increase your operation cost again. But the business is waiting nobody, and the security issue is also waiting nobody. So it feels like and it sounds like helpless. And what kind of solution and what kind of the help that we can get, and what is the idea that we have to think to fulfill this kind of requirement, and especially for the pandemic that we have right now. You can feel the challenge for the IT infrastructure is changing every day, from the remote office, from the work from home, from the VPN connection. Everything is keeping challenge our IT infrastructure, and we believe this kind of the challenge and change will getting more and more in the future. So we have to think about what if we can using virtualization to software define everything on your IT infrastructure. Here we are not just only meaning about the web server or the Linux server or Windows server. No, we're not just mentioning about something like that. It should be also including most of the key components in your IT infrastructure, from networking devices, from your server, from your infrastructure, which would mean it will including the router, the firewall, the IDP IDS, and also switch sometimes. If we can really software define everything, what will be the benefit that we can bring down to your daily operation, to your IT infrastructure? And of course, I think the first one will be it will be much more easier when you're trying to deploy new solution to your site, because in the past you have to try to deploy the solution with the physical devices, and it will take a lot of time, and you have to think a lot of things. You have the planning how to connect to the internet, and you have to pre-configure all the devices and to make sure everything can be up running as well in a remote site without any help from the remote. So with the software defined, it will be much more simple. So you can just deploy the new DNF solution in the remote site. Then without any configuration, it can still up and running as well. You can do all the configuration after you deploy the devices, after you deploy your service as well. You don't have to think about how to connect to internet, how should I configure it as well. So it will be much more easier. And of course, it will be much more cost efficiencies. As we mentioned about, there always a bottleneck inside of your networking and infrastructure. The key reason is because you are not able to share the different hardware resource across the different devices. But what if we put all your service in one single devices? We can easily to allocate CPU resource. We can easily to share the CPU resource. We can easily to share the memory resource, or even the smart NIC resource. So it will be much more cost efficiency when you're using this kind of a solution, when you're trying to allocate your resource for the individuals of the service. It will be much more make sense. So there's no more bottleneck in your performance. There's no more you have to always think about which one will be the bottleneck for your performance in your entire of the infrastructure. And again, it will be much more flexible compared to the traditional IT infrastructure, because with the software defined solution in your IT infrastructure. In the past, with everything is physical connected, it will be limited by the physical connection and the physical devices when you're trying to facing a new solution. But with the software defined available, you can basically connect all different services. You can basically chaining all different services however you want. It will not limited by the cable again. You will not limited by the physical appliance again. And again, the minimize the downtime and the quick. It also will be much more easier compared to the traditional IT infrastructure, because you don't have to ship the devices to the site anymore. Once you set up the devices on the site, you can easily to deploy all different services from now or in the future. So you can deploy it from the cloud. You can deploy it from the local. It's just a simply software deployment. So without shipping devices to the local, you can basically save a lot of time and reduce your operation cost as well. Then next time we are going to talk about what will be the key point, and we have to think about before we are using the virtualization for your IT infrastructure. What will be the key to make this solution work? So of course, the first thing we have to think about, it will require very powerful devices to carry all different services. And of course, you have to be very flexible platform, because you have to contain all different kind of the service in one single devices. So interrupt issue cannot be allowed in this kind of the solution. You have to be very flexible. And also with a lot of different devices, with a lot of the different VN and VNF, the easy way to monitoring management around the world is also the crucial to make it happen. And here is very simple topology and diagram to show you what's the difference between the traditional IT infrastructure and the Qnap IT virtualization solution. So you can see in the traditional IT world, there's a lot of the physical appliance from the firewall and router and IPS, IDP switch and WAN optimizer, and of course a bunch of the server inside of the IT infrastructure. It will be much more complex and mess up. But with the everything virtualization, all you need is Amit Cloud, Qre operation system, and the QCP as well to make everything work. And what is the Amit Cloud, and what is the QNE, and what's the QCP? Here will be the short brief to give you some basic idea what we're going to do for individual component, what's the key for the entire of the solution for this individual component. The first one we will quickly go over about the Amit Cloud. Is actually the cloud management platform allow you to remote management and orchestrator your VM and your container. And of course, we are providing capability to help you to management the physical devices in your entire networking as well from the cloud. And the QA will be the operation system that we build up for this software-defined platform. It's actually provide very flexible and a very safe and very easy way to management all your container and all your VM in one single operation system. And of course, the very powerful platform to carry on the QNE and Amit Cloud will be mandatory for this kind of solution. So simplify your network and make your daily operation much more easy will be the idea of this total solution. The next one will take some time to go through a little more detail for the individual component. The first one we're going to talk about will be the Qre Networking. It's the new design operation system from the Qnap. The full name will be the Qnap Networking Equipment Operation System. So it's actually the pretty new design for the Qnap. It's not, if you are pretty familiar with the Qnap, you probably will know we have very powerful operation system using for the NAS that we call QTS. But it's actually not redesigned from the QTS. It's not repackaging from the QTS. No, it's actually the whole new designed operation system, specifically designed for this kind of software design platform, because it have to contain all different requirement as well. It's actually different requirement from the NAS. So with a lot of the experience that we have from the story NAS in the before, we are facing some of the issue, we are facing some of the challenge, and we're using those kind of experience to help us to design a new generation operation system as well. And also it's a kind of the breakthrough design than legacy servers. So the key point for this one is we actually provide much more faster service response and migration time compared to the old operation system that we have in the before. And of course, the flexibility and the security is also one of the key points of the new operation system. And this is the basic diagram to show you what's the architecture of the entire of the QNE operation system. In the bottom of this diagram that you can see, we have the QNE OS base, come with the Linux kernel and the driver and networking devices and components, and also the DBKG, the package manager system. So it's including in the entire of the OS base. And you can see in the right hand of this diagram, we have the API service diagram. It's actually the key to make this entire of the system work, and is the key to make this the QNE so beautiful and so nice. So it's actually help us to chaining and to connect all different components and together into one operation system. However, it's the component from the web GUI or from the application, built-in application in the QNE operation system, or is the service from the container or service from the VM, is all actually chaining together with the API service. So we can easily to manage migration and design, replace, or upgrade individual component very easily. So it actually provides much more flexible and security operation system based on this kind of the concept. And also it's provide a possibility to help us to manage all the devices and the component from the cloud, from the Army's cloud as well. And it's the basic concept to show you what's the difference between the QNE and the traditional Linux server. As you can see here in the QNE, the concept of the QNE is we're trying to running all the service, however it's from the VM or from the container. Doesn't matter it's from the third party or it's from the our own Qnap design application. We're trying to provide a totally separate resource allocate for individual application. It will provide much more security and flexibility compared to the traditional Linux server. Because in the traditional Linux server, we have to share the same kernel, we have to share the same file system, so we have to try to allocate the storage space and the CPU very carefully for the traditional Linux server. But for the QNE, it will be much more easier to help you to deploy the third-party VM or VNF to this kind of the infrastructure, to your IT infrastructure. And one of the key to make this concept work is we call service composer. Because in the past, when we're trying to virtualize all the component in your IT infrastructure, you're easily to facing the problem is how should I connect the service one by one? Because it's actually not just only chaining all the devices together. No, it's not something like that, because in your physical topology, some of the traffic might go through with the IDP ITS, some of the traffic might go through the VPN server, some of the traffic might go through the router directly. So individual traffic from individual department, doesn't matter it's from the accounting, design, or QA, it's basically all of them have the different requirement in their IT infrastructure. So which means it is impossible to using one single chain topology to fulfill all different kind of solution. Then with the visualize tools to help you to set up this kind of topology is very important. So in the service composer that we have in the QN, you can easily to deploy all the VN you want, all the VNF that you want, all the service you want, and you just simply click and join the topology as you want. Then all the functionality and all the traffic will operating based on what you set up in this topology as you want. So it will be much more easier to design, to deploy, and also to troubleshooting on your networking devices, on your networking environment, or even on your IT infrastructure. It actually helps you a lot. And next one, we'll take some time to talk about the CPU resource arrangement. As we mentioned about in some scenario in the past, in the previous PowerPoint that we mentioned about, the CPU resource allocation for each of the service will be crucial to make your IT infrastructure running smoothly and allocate much more reasonable. And also, sometimes you are facing some problem. For example, if there is one like router, it's very crucial for your networking, for your IT infrastructure. You don't want to share the resource with all other kind of the service. So you can easily to set up the CPU pinging on the virtualization station that we have here. You can set it up as the dedicated CPU core for this kind of a server. So you can make sure there won't be any other service will interrupt you on the CPU resource arrangement. And for some of the service might not such critical, so you can still using the share pool to allocate your CPU resource to fulfill all different kinds of service you want. So it actually provide you much more flexible and much more detailed setting when you're trying to arrange your CPU resource on your entire of the system. Will always give you much more better and good quality of your service in your network. And for the what kind of the service that we are allowed to deploy on the Qre operation system, we basically have already tested most of the open source VNF, which is available on the internet right now, like pfSense, CloudOS, OpenWRT, or Zebex, those kind of open source solution, which we has been tested, and also for some of the VNF from third party like Fortinet, like Sophos, or like Cisco, as long as they are providing the virtualization-based VNF available on their roadmap, we are able to running on top of our Qre operation system as well. So it will be crucial. It will be the key point to provide this kind of the compatibility and the flexibility to fulfill, to contain all different kinds of service as well. Because once you are trying to facing in one new solution, for example, you're trying to deploy the firewall from vendor A, and you're trying to deploy the router from vendor B. It might be depending on the functionality, or it might be depending on your personal habits. You're probably much more well known about, for example, Cisco command line, but you are much more prefer the firewall from the Fortinet. It should be allowed to deploy on this kind of the software-defined IT infrastructure as well. So it will be key and crucial to make it happen. We are actually content and able to running all different kind of the VNF as well from all different vendor, from all different third-party vendor. And also the resource management and allocation is not just only talking about the CPU. We also have to think about the resource allocation from the networking devices. Not just only about physical interface. We also have to think about the hardware acceleration resource allocation is also all contained in the network management. So you can basically allocate all different resource, all different interface, and hardware acceleration engine in the network management to help you to configure and the management and allocate all the resource that you have on single devices. And of course, I believe the security issue is one of the crucial topic for the Qnap. And of course, in the Qre operation system, we're trying to enhance the some of the security solution that we have right now. So the basic concept of the security center is actually we can auto recover all the system file which has been modified or deleted with the unauthorized access and the change. So which that means we can make sure our operating system will not easily to replace or modify or be hacking by the outside or by the other guys. Then we can actually auto recover the file for the operation system and help you to provide a more security operation system for your daily operation. And also, we are able to ensure the security of the management access through the certification or your personal policy or and management it in the security center. And also, of course, as we mentioned about it, it's a wholly new designed, stable, lightweight platform. It's actually leverage a Linux kernel from the 5.1 LTS, the long-term support version. So it's actually start from the kernel, from the API, from the some of the new application, and Web GUI is actually the total new design for the QNE. And of course, for the UI, it still feel pretty similar than QTS because we are trying to not change too much for our Qnap customer, but actually is the whole new design from the kernel and to the web and to the application as well. And of course, we actually provide much more faster booting time compared to the QTS and the QNE as well, and help you to quickly enable service to the networking. And for some of the Qnap fans or some of our friends, if you are really follow our new product in recent years, you probably already know that we have the Qnap SD-WAN solution that we call Q1. It's actually subscription-free SD-WAN solution. Is also available and support from the QAE and Army's cloud operation system. You can easily to deploy it and you can easily to enable it on the QN as well. And it's all free and it's already built in and in the QN operation system. And for the storage management, I think it's actually not really designed for the NAS application or for the storage application. So of course we don't have very powerful and nice and storage function in this of the devices or this kind of the solution. But some of the customers still requiring for the storage space for their application. It's no matter from the VN or from the application they want or from the local storage requirement. So we actually still support the hybrid mount. You can mount from your local NAS or you can mount from your cloud storage as well. So it's very similar with the it's a very similar function that we have in the QTS right now. So again, we can mount everything from the outside into the QNE for different kind of application as well. And next one, we'll take some time to talk about the other component that we call Army's Cloud. And actually, we have some of the new function released for the Armis Cloud platform as well. So here is the basic concept and the idea to show you what is the Armis Cloud and what kind of the total solution that we can offer. And you can see in the top of this topology that we see the VMO, CMO, and the QCP manager in very small and tiny box for this cloud. The meaning of the VMO is the virtual machine orchestrator. So which that means we are able to management, modify, deployment all the VM that you want from the Armis Cloud to your local devices through the QNE and operating on your QCP as well. And the same concept of the container. So we can through the CMO, container manager, container machine orchestrator to deploy orchestrator or your container to your local devices. And of course, the foundation, the baseline that we have to provide, the basic functionality is we have to provide the hardware devices management to help you to understand all your device health status and the location and the resource allocation. Those kind of information are available on Armis Cloud. And of course, again, we support the Q1. You can easily to set up your private network across your site, across all your devices, easily to using the QN. And of course, if you want, you can still feel free to using any third-party VNF from other vendor as well. You can still provide the very nice and very good private networking solution for your IT infrastructure. It's actually really depending on what you need and what you want for your IT infrastructure and on this Armis Cloud. So this is the dashboard to show you what is the Armis Cloud that we have here. It's actually help you to understand the all the devices information, how many devices online right now, how many devices offline right now, and what is the CPU utilization and the network utilization for individual of their devices. And of course, the zero-touch provisioning for the VN and the VNF will be one of the key points for this kind for this solution. And also, we support the bulk deployment on Armis Cloud. You can simply to click all the devices you want and deploy the VN. Doesn't matter from the marketplace, that's from Qnap, or from your private owned VM VNF or your third-party VNF. You can easily to deploy it by simple one click as well. So it will be much more easier to help you to deploy the new service compared to the traditional IT infrastructure. Because again, in the past, it will be required to shipping devices to the site to pre-configure everything before your shipment. But right now, it will be much more easier because we have already software defined everything. You can just simply click and deploy it and done. And then you can deploy the service to all different sites in one time without additional effort, without a shipment, without any flight to the site. It will be much more easier. And here we'll take some time to talk about the VN image management. It will be something new that we release on Armis Cloud. As you can see, here is the marketplace that we have here. Right now, we have already support QTS Cloud in the marketplace. And also, we support the custom image for the customer. As long as you have the S3 cloud storage, then you can connect it to the Armis Cloud. And Armis Cloud can help you to deploy it and orchestrate all the VM from your S3 service cloud storage as well. Okay, and so here is all the software we have been going through from the QNE and Armis Cloud. Then we also take some time to go through the new product and new hardware devices that we are launching on the marketing. The QCPE-3032 series, as we mentioned about it, has been announced on marketing in the earlier of this year, and the 3000 series will be the key that we release in the second half of this year. It actually come with the Intel Atom CPU come with the 8-core or 4-core solution, and also come with the 8 of the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet RJ45, and the 4 of the 10 gigabit Ethernet SRP Plus. And also it also including 2 of the M.2 SSD slot to help you to install your VM or your application data in this storage. So clear in this table, you can see compared to the 7000 series, we have very, very powerful CPU, Intel Xeon D, which is very nice, which is very good. But if you're going to deploy the in some of the branch office or even the micro office, it seems a little bit not reasonable to using the 7000 series, because you probably have only 5 or 10 employees in your remote site. I think at this moment, 3000 series will be much more suitable for this kind of the deployment and requirement. And when we talk about the hardware devices, it's not just about spec. It's not just about how many ports that we have, what kind of CPU that we have, and how many memory that we have. We also have to think about what kind of the what will be the performance for the individual devices, and what kind of isolation technology that we can support from the hardware point of view or from the operation system point of view. And in the Qnap software-defined total solution, we actually support the OVS DVDK, SRLV, Intel Q80 for your application. And it actually help you to speed up your entire of the networking. The best idea of the OVS DVDK is actually help you to pass through the guest OS kernel when you're trying to process the packet flow. So like OVS bridge, now for those kind of very basic fundamental component, you can bypass the guest OS kernel direct to the hyperversion, and it will help you to speed it up. And also the SILV, the basic concept of the SILV is part of the technology from the smart NIC card. It can help you to attach your NIC card direct to your VN or VNF and pass through your hyperversion kernel, and that will be QNE in this case. So it will help you to direct access to the NIC card from your VN to your smart NIC card. It will help you to speed it up a lot in this kind of the scenario. But of course, there will be some of limitation, because they will be not able to provide the flexibility to help you to chaining or compose with the other service as well. But again, it can help you to provide much more better performance. And also, again, the Intel Q80, what's the functionality of the Intel Q80 is actually help you to offload your encryption and decryption from the software to hardware, and which that means that will be IPsec and the VPN tunnel in networking devices. Because in the past, when we're trying to build up IPsec tunnel, it help you to encryption all the traffic and all of your packets. But the problem is it have to all done by the software, and it's actually impact to the performance a lot. And the Q80 can actually help you to offload this kind of the encryption from the software to the hardware, and of course it will be increasing your VPN performance as well. So here will be the topology to show you what will be the typical deployment for this kind of the total solution. From the headquarters that we can provide and deploy very powerful QCPE-3032 series to contain and operating all different services in your headquarters. And for a branch, of course, we can offer much more cost efficiency QCPE-3000 series for your branch office, or even your chain store for each of the location as well. And for the internal VPN, we have the Q1 available for you to using, and of course it will be the option for you or to using third-party VPN or third-party DNF as well. And of course, we provide the centralized management that we call Armis Cloud. It's actually provide the total solution for you to your next generation IT infrastructure. So the QCP solution, this kind of the total solution, will be the best solution that you can choosing for this kind of application. And now we are taking some time to look at the physical devices that we have here. So it's the QCPE-3000 series that we call 3034. It's actually come with the 3034 and 3032. These two different model. And in the front panel that we can see, we actually support 8 of the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet and 4 of the 10 gigabit SFP plus as well. And of course, the display panel is also available in the front panel. So then we take some time to look inside what we have here. Then in the top case over here, that we can see that there's a lot of sticker to show you how to install the M.2 SSD for your application data, and also some of the spec over here to show you what's the key function of this one. And here is the inside of the entire of the devices. Here is the CPU. That you can see we have a lot of heatsink over here, a huge heatsink over here, and we have the 2 fan over here to provide airflow for the CPU and also for the DRAM to make sure it won't be overheat. And also we can see there is a 2 slot here for the M.2 SSD as well. And also a lot of the heatsink over here to make sure there will be no overheat for your file. So it's actually very robust design from the hardware point of view. And then next on, we take some time to look about the software. And we are not really go through too much detail for this demo because it actually is including a lot of different functions. And so we are going to release more and more video to introduction, what's the QNE, what's the Armis Cloud, and what we can do in the future, and what kind of scenario can fulfill this kind of the solution, and how to operate it, and how to set it up as well. So I'm just to quickly go over what we have in the QE right now. Okay, let me change to the English first. Okay, so as you can see in the desktop is pretty similar style that we have in the QTS, but it actually in some of the key component has come with some very nice and spatial design. As we mentioned about the service composer is one of the key point and the key component to make this thing work and to make sure all your service can running as you want. So I'm here to demo to show you how to set up the topology in this service composer. So let's say we are trying to set up the router for your network. And also, we are also trying to set up, for example, IDP, IDS in your network. Then we have to try to connect these 2 devices to service together. Then I just simply click here, added an adapter, connect to the virtual switch, and again connect to the second VM, which we're going to set up the IDP IDS. Then just some adjustment. And of course, we have to connect our router to our WAN, to our ISP networking, right? So I'm here to plug one virtual switch here and also connect my VM into this one. Then, okay. Then here that you can see we have the VNF port here. It's actually have already pre-configured on the network management that I can show you later on how to make it happen. So let's say native port 1 will be the port connect to the ISP router. So I just using the connecting tool to connect my virtual switch to the native port 1 again. And native port 6 will be the port that I'm going to connect to my LAN networking. So I'm just using another virtual switch here again and connect my virtual switch to my VN and add it again. Okay. Then native port 6, connect, and again. So basically, all the topology setup has already done. So it's very, very easy. I mean, compared to the traditional IT infrastructure that you have to connect the cable, you have to think about to find some space on your rack mount. But right now, after we software define everything, you can simply plug and play everything in this service composer as you want. And we just apply this one. So next one will be we're trying to configure this too, but it will take some time. So let's do this again. VM type, router, VM mode, router. Next one. And here we're going to using the pfSense as an example. And of course, you can deploy it or import a VM as you want from the third-party VNF or any other VNF that you are prepared by yourself. So in this case, we are using pfSense from our marketplace. Then apply. Okay, it will automatically install. And again, here we're using the transparent mode for the IDP. Then again, next, again, we're using pfSense here. So done. So we're just simply waiting for the installation from the QNE. Then at the same time that I would like to take some time to go over the Armis Cloud and what we have here right now. So in the dashboard here, we can see the dashboard here. We can see how many QCP that we have here. We have currently 3 offline and 1 online. And what will be the CPU usage, network upload utilization, and the memory usage for the entire of the organization. And also it will containing all the virtual machine information, container information as well. And in this device point of view, so I can easily to monitoring all the devices and get all the information that I need for these devices, And of course, I can easily to access these devices with this icon. So it will simply to pop out the other window on this one. Again, it's actually not requiring any pre-configuration in your internet. You don't need to VPN to the devices. You don't need to do anything else. You just simply click it. As long as the device is on the internet, you can actually connect it as well. Hold on, give me a second. Look. So again, you can see the address over here is not the local IP address. It's actually connect to the internet. Then using the cloud, it will help me to proxy the entire of the access to my remote devices. So it will actually much more easier for you guys to manage all the devices in the remote side without to think about how to set up and management your VPN tunnel in between. And of course, we can also very easily to management all the firmware and the devices by simply click the button over here. It will show you the drop-down menu over here. And again, for the mature version, it will also show you all the status for the individual virtual machine. And also, you can easily to enable the console for individual VN through the cloud without any additional VPN setup, without any additional networking setup. It can easily to show you what's the local console for the VM right now is actually stopping right now because it's the one that I'm install the pfSense here. Okay, so we will come back here later again. And again, when we trying to deploy the virtual machine, as we mentioned about, you can try to deploy the QDS Cloud, Zabbix, pfSense, or AWS File Gateway from the Qnap marketplace. And also, if you have your own S3 server, whether it's from the AWS or other cloud vendor with the S3 compatibility, you can easily to hook up it with the Armis Cloud. Connect with Armis Cloud. And Armis Cloud will help you to orchestrate all the VM that you want from your cloud storage. Okay, so then let's come back here again. It's already finished the installation. So we just simply to start this one and start this one. Okay, so in the past, when we're trying to set up and configure all the new service on the remote side, the first thing is we have to think about how to access it actually. Do I need any local devices, or do I need any local computer to connect the console cable, those kind of things? Is there anyone can help me on the remote side? So it will be very complex, and something will easily goes wrong in the past. So, but right now with the software-defined capability, we can easily to enable the local console, something like this one. So you can easily to configure everything that you want with the local console without any additional configuration, without any additional support. So you can easily to management and configure all the topology that you want. So again, it's just a very simple idea and the concept to show you how it works as actually. And there's a lot of different functionality and the different scenario that we are going to talk about in our video. So thank you guys for the demo today, for the live streaming today, and I think that's all the topic that we want to talk for today. Thank you. Goodbye.